Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Dr. Cammy and Karen Go Keto. Cammy and I are transitioning from a standard American diet to a ketogenic carnivore lifestyle so that we can improve our health by eliminating processed foods and high carbohydrate foods, playing with carnivore and eating meat sometimes, fasting sometimes. And right now we have a little structure in place for the next few episodes, and Cammy's going to give us a little more detail on that right now.
Thank you, Karen. Hi, everybody, and welcome. We are talking today about diving into a fascinating and important subject of paying attention to your feelings and your emotions so that you can make healthier choices and stay on your ketogenic lifestyle plan and have more energy and better health in your life. This is a 7-topic series. Today, we are doing topic 2. Our last topic, if you want to go back and look at that video, was really good on identifying emotional triggers that come into your life and giving you some ideas about how to pay attention and conquer those. Today, we're working on topic 2, which is mindful eating. So, Karen, if you want to start us off a little bit about what mindful eating means to you and how we can work on getting that into our lives a little stronger.
So I think for me, mindful eating, there's a couple of things that I think come up, and that is having an awareness of what you're eating and what you're not eating when you're eating it and how you're eating it. I'll never forget one time I was in college and I watched my brother, who was like moved into his first house, and he just stood up at his kitchen sink and chopped open a head of lettuce and poured some salad dressing on it and bit into it. And that was his meal. He was just eating a little salad, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh." Now you could still be mindful of that. That could still be mindful, but I don't think that that's the best eating habit, especially if you're dealing with emotional eating. I feel like when you emotional mindful eating is the opposite of mindless eating, and mindless eating is when you just grab something. If we've got potato chips on the counter, boy, I'm just going to grab them. If they're in the bag, it's a little harder to get to. If they're out of the bag, somebody's just got something sitting there, I'm going to grab those potato chips because that's just mindless, and I don't even remember doing it, right? So there's mindless snacking. Don't set yourself up. If you're going on a road trip, don't go buy a bunch of, Tim always bought combos and a Snickers and a soda. And, you know, we just did it to get rid of the food, right? We bought this junk and then we ate it until it was gone, not because we were hungry. And I think being able to understanding what mindless eating is helps you be more mindful. And being mindful is just, to me, paying attention to each bite and having it mean something. And I like to think that food is medicine and food is there to, keep our bodies going so that we can accomplish things in the world. And your physical hunger, I don't usually have issues with determining if I'm hungry or not, but I still eat mindlessly, right? I still am not mindful with all of my eating. And then there's the idea of what's this attitude of being mindful of eating the tortilla chips that are on my table at the Mexican restaurant. I can look at them, I can be mindful of them, and I can eat them. And I just wonder what is the attitude that's this screw it attitude that's like, oh, I don't care if it's not on my plan. So that's about me. What about for you, Kimmy?
Yeah. And, it's interesting that you're bringing that up, that last comment about screw it and I'm just going to eat it, because in our next video, which is coming up, we're going to talk about improved self-control. So we're talking now about mindful eating, and I really appreciate what you were saying, Karen, because understanding what's mindful versus mindless can help us be on the right track. The other thing that comes to mind for me with mindful eating is when you go to eat your meals. I've been sitting down, I've been cooking a lot at home so that I know exactly what's in my food. And then I sit down and I eat usually a carnivore meal at my nice table with my tablecloth. And I have a little placemat there and a napkin and my utensils and my water. And I don't have the TV on. I'm not distracted. So it really is what you said, that moment by moment awareness. And I have to share that I don't like doing it. I want to be doing something else. And I sit there and I go, this is really boring. But then that forces me to thank God for my food, to have positive energy into the universe, that I have something here to eat, to think about the nutritional quality of the foods that I'm putting into my mouth, and that I'm giving my body the nutrition it needs to get up and keep going through life. So, and the other thing that comes to me with mindful eating is no reactionary eating. So as you're driving down the road and you see, a place where you're like, oh, I could go eat that because something happened to trigger you emotionally, you try not to do that. You try not to have reactionary eating.
Yeah, and I think that that is being mindful, not just of where and when and what you're eating, but mindful of what your state of mind is when you are eating. My mom's had a few strokes and she had some swallowing issues and dysphagia. And, the first rule is turn off the TV. You can't talk while you're, helping her eat because she has to have all focus on her food so that she can chew it safely and swallow it safely and um let her, because she needs nutrition because obviously with swallowing issues she has not been eating the same kind of food. She's on a soft food diet. So that being said, I think everybody can be more mindful of in their eating. And it's interesting that you bring up that one comment, Cammy, about you don't want to do it. So that's an area that can require a little more assessment and analysis. And you said though, when you do it, you're thankful and you get it. And that's the mindset, that mindset of I don't want to do it. That's the mindset that you're fighting, right? That's the mindset that you want to dispel in our patterns, in our habits, to say, no, I don't want to be judgmental about whether I want to do this or not. I just do it because this is what nourishes and strengthens my body to get me going. And it will win out, I'm certain, during this transition to the ketogenic lifestyle. Thank you, everybody, for
Oh,
watching.
the other thing I wanted to bring up quickly was about how when you say that about me not being interested in doing it, you commented about your hunger and fullness cues and how you're pretty good with that. And when you said that, I thought to myself, oh, I'm learning more about that. I'm not good at that yet. And I think that has something to do with me not being so interested in eating, because sometimes I'm not sure if I'm hungry or not. Sometimes I don't know if it's emotional hunger. Sometimes I don't want to eat because I want to eat a bunch of food, and I know that my thing should be just to eat the reasonable amount of food, and then I'm just going to be hungry again. So why eat? There's a lot of emotional stuff that's going into that with me. And I think that sitting there still and quiet and paying attention to all that is going to be really helpful for me to ultimately get rid of my binges, which are still occurring intermittently.
Well, and when you bring that up, the emotional hunger, I call that the void, right? That's a void. You're trying to fill a void with food that is not fillable with food. And that's the key of the identifying the trigger, and being still with it and centering yourself to find out what is that void. To me, it's like something from Lord of the Rings, right? This big, deep hole that you gotta, you know, cross or jump into and get out of at another end. But that void is never going to be filled with food because it's filled with unmet emotions, probably, or emotions and unmet expectations and uncertainty. So let's see what happens with our next video.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for being here. We hope that this series is helping you a little bit. If you're having a good time with this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, send us some comments. We'd be happy to hear about that. We're going to be doing our next video now in our series, and that's going to be talking about self-control. Take care.
All right.